Hey everybody, Anthony Alfredo here, and I wanted to highlight the Monday Night Racing League Championship event because we were unable to actually stream our POV since it was a live in-person event in Charlotte, which was super cool, and I'll get into that in a minute. Breyer was spotting me, but he couldn't stream his spotting perspective either, so we had got plenty of pictures from the event, some video, but really what we're going to do is kind of just react to the championship race and watch it back together because I know many of you watched the actual broadcast of the event. But regardless, it was a ton of fun, super cool. That's what sim racing is all about. We're trying to grow iRacing into a more mainstream esport, and having live events like that are a huge step in that direction, trying to bridge the gap between mainstream esports and the motorsports world. So to see it all come together as one of the few that there is each year is awesome, but obviously we want to see more events like that throughout the year around the country. So doing that with Monday Night Racing League has been very special. I've been a part of the league since the beginning. Always have had so much fun racing it. This was one of the most exciting races ever of my MNR career, in my opinion. But of course, we've done a lot with the Esports Racing League, and we're hoping to do events just like that, hand in hand and together, just to grow sim racing. So we ended up finishing second in the championship, I think. We had it won. The race was so insane. I actually qualified on pole by about 1/10 of a second, drove away from the field, easily had it won as far as tire strategy goes. We had a phenomenal long run pace, but unfortunately, it became a fuel mileage race without us realizing until too late. So what actually happened was during the second run, just based off the one caution we did have early in the race, you could almost make it on fuel if you saved about 2 laps per run from that point on. So I did save 2 laps of fuel initially in the second run of the race, and the third run, Breyer was telling me just to pick a pace and stick to it. I was running that pace. It looked like we were going to barely make it to the start-finish line. And as the tires wore off, it should have came to us even more, and we should have been plenty good. Well, with about 8 to 10 laps to go, I still had a 5-second lead over Presley Sora, and unfortunately, we were looking like we were somehow 0.2 laps short or something like that, and it was really hard to save that amount of fuel in such a short amount of time. So I actually had to back up to him, give up my lead to try to fall in line, draft a little bit, but stay close enough to pull off the bump and run in the final corner in turns 3 and 4, which I did, and Presley came back down, gave the contact right back to me because I knocked him up the racetrack. He tried to hold me tight, and we were gonna door slam to the line, but it's like we got glued together or something, and we went flying head on into the wall, crashing. We were both out of fuel at that point. Like, I was hoping we were just going to coast to the line out of fuel, rolling, door slamming extremely slow and seeing who got there first. I had just enough that actually after crashing, I was just going to put it in reverse and back across the line, but a couple oncoming cars thought it would be funny to drive straight into Presley and I at full speed. Unfortunately, the guy that hit me shot me up in the air and to the left into pit road. When Presley got hit, it shot him through the sky forward and across the finish line first, so he ended up winning the championship. Congratulations to him and his family. They drove a long way down for the event, so I was glad to see that for them. It was a big win. It paid a lot of money, and there was some other cool prizes included, so I was definitely bummed I missed out on that, but just being a part of such a cool league and such an exciting finish was awesome. I mean, the fact it ended up being that close was crazy in itself. If we had a drag race to the line or we're crashing and sliding to the line, that's one thing, but who could have scripted us flying through the sky, seeing who would be lucky enough to soar across the line or tumble across the line first? I don't think anyone could have imagined that. So the whole crowd in the place was left speechless. I know people on Twitch watching the broadcast were jaw dropped. You couldn't have asked for a more dramatic, chaotic finish ever. Had to be one of the craziest sim racing finishes in the world, and definitely the craziest when it came down to a championship. I mean, I'm speechless just trying to think about and process what the heck happened. But Presley won the championship this year, so like I said, congrats to him. But Adam Cabot won it last year, and for a lot of you that may not know, the two of them actually are graduates from the Esports Racing League when we were doing a kind of an entry-level series for MNR. So they qualified for Monday Night Racing League through my personal league, and they've both won the championship the last 2 years. So two guys from my league have, the only two in MNR, other than myself, have won the last 2 years championship since they've been in the league. So it's really cool for them, cool for me to see that. If I couldn't win it, Presley was definitely who I wanted to see win it if I couldn't. And it ultimately came down to us crashing across the line, trying to see who could crash, fly through the air, roll across without fuel. I don't even know. It was just the most insane thing ever. But I hope everyone enjoyed the finish. We're going to go take a look at it now because it was just that wild. So I actually jumped out to a really early lead. Then I was getting pressured from behind, so I decided to hang back, save my tires, and let everyone kind of just go ahead by me as I took care of my tires for the long run, passed them all back, and drove back to the lead. As you can see here, David Childhouse, my teammate, good friend, he unfortunately was eliminated in the semifinal race, but he was running second to me at this point. He pit under that first caution very early on, and since it went green flag, that ended up being the winning strategy. But obviously all of us Championship 4 stayed out because we figured we should save the tires. That was important. Unfortunately, James Bickford and Colin Fern couldn't make it on fuel. They had to do 3 pit stops the rest of the way, whereas Presley and I only had to make 2 because we stretched the fuel mileage. But as I said, unfortunately, we caught on to that too late, and it ended up costing us the championship and the race win. We needed to pick up on that earlier. This is me making one of my green flag stops in my SimSeed Chevy Silverado. We didn't pick up on that strategy early enough. Presley did, so even though we had incredible pace and did an amazing job executing up until then, I felt like we had the race won. Presley definitely caught on to the strategy early enough with his spotter and crew chief, so they deserved it for being able to figure that out early, and that was the ultimately the deciding factor. That was the strategy. We both were on fumes coming off of turn 4, maybe even down the backstretch. It was insane. So as you can see here, I have a pretty big lead over Presley Sora. Actually, he's not even in the top 10 right now. I think I had close to a 10-second gap. I started saving pretty aggressively. It fell down to about 5 seconds. And then I really had to save extremely hard and give up all of that gap, use all of it up to try to save enough fuel to make it to the end. You can see it's only 2 seconds now. I give that all up extremely quickly. In fact, I actually give up the lead and let Presley buy me so that I could make it on fuel. You see James pitting there because he couldn't make it. I let Presley buy, so right here, I'm maintaining this gap. We're still probably not at the point where we realized we couldn't make it on fuel. So eventually, when I let him go, I had to use the draft to try to save a little bit extra fuel. So this is that point in time. I'm behind him on the last lap. This is coming out of turns 1 and 2. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I have barely enough fuel. I saved just enough so that I could make it to the end, but stayed close enough to pull off the bump and run right here. Excellent execution. Presley gives it right back to me right here by trying to hold me tight and door slam. We got glued together. We both wrecked. Crazy finish. Now, at this point, I was just going to get rolling going across the line, but that driver thought, nope, take you out. I ended up in pit road. Presley got clobbered as well, except he was lucky enough for his truck to roll across the line. He ended up winning the championship like that, and here I come rolling around next up in line. So that was just the craziest thing ever. I mean, this is literally insane. I don't know how you could script it any better. I don't know if people I know there was controversy. Some people thought it was silly looking. Some people thought it wasn't real racing, but it's sim racing. We're having fun. That's what it's all about. We had a good time. The strategy side of it was actually probably the coolest part because for me personally, I've never experienced or had a fuel saving race, a fuel mileage race, other than at a super speedway on iRacing. So I've never had to clutch into the corner to save fuel or anything like that. That was my first time doing that. So I was kind of learning the optimal way to do that. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It threw a whole nother wrench in our plans, and it was cool to try to do our best to figure that out on the fly and put ourselves in position. And the fact it came down to that right there is just insane. what an amazing turnout for the race. All the drivers are actually there competing. And first and foremost, I got to thank SimSeats Driving Simulators for being my sponsor multiple times this season. They've been an incredible sim racing and real world partner of mine. They actually trailered down SimSeats Driving Simulator from their shop in Richmond, Virginia. That was just like the one I have here at home, so that I was comfortable. I had the same equipment, wheelbase, pedals, the chassis itself. Their SRX chassis had me fully immersed. I felt like I was in my real race car, and more importantly, my simulator at home. So I actually was used to that cockpit. Everything was where I wanted it to be, and that was definitely a competitive advantage to me. So Zach, owner of SimSeats, thank you for doing that. It was great to spend time together, and you bring that down. Everyone else, thank you for coming out to the event. Thank you for watching and supporting it. Everyone on Twitch and our community, the Sauce Mafia, who tunes in every week to all the streams, but especially the iRacing, Monday Night Racing League streams in particular, and watches the broadcast highlights and streams back on YouTube. So this one, since there was no stream, from my perspective, we did a short little live reaction, of course a little video just to talk about what that whole event was like, but I already can't wait till next season. It was such a blast. Hope you all enjoyed the video. I appreciate your support as always, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.